Hi readers, I'm going to talk to you about your Reading Life calendar. This is posted for you already on Google Classroom. You can find it in the reading section, or you can find it under your to-do and no date, because there is no due date for this quite yet. So first, I'm going to talk about why we're using a calendar, not a log. Then I'll show you and talk to you about what it is, and then we'll talk about how you use it. So, why Reading Life calendar? I want you to feel like your logging of your reading is just more of a daily practice and something that feels like it fits into real life rather than is more of like an assessment or a measurement of your worth as a reader. I've personally found in my own experience using reading logs as a kid, as a middle schooler, that I was focused more on like how much I could read in a short amount of time. So I remember just kind of like feeling a little bit embarrassed sometimes about like how many pages I read for how long I read, or trying to make it almost into a competition, and or other kids in my classes making it into a competition. And I want to just take the focus off of that and more on yourself as a reader long term. So if we think about your reading life and we think about it in terms of months rather than just like a week or a day, you can see that like you're going to change. Some days, some weeks reading might be great. Some days, some weeks reading might be not so great, and that's okay. If we think about it more of a calendar for a month, my hope is that you can kind of take the pressure off yourself to perform every night rather than focus just on the skill work that you're doing, and also so that you can truly see your growth and self-assess so that you are making decisions for yourself that will help you to take more ownership of your lives and also make greater gains. So now what is it? What does it look like? Let's get to that part. So I mentioned before that you'll find this on Google Classroom in the classwork section, Reading Life Calendar. So I'm going to go right to the page and just kind of walk you through some of these steps. So we have a rubric here for you to look at. I'll get to that in a second. Some other systems for tracking your reading, and then this is the calendar for the month. So let's just take a look at that and see how it goes. So maybe you've already started yours, great. If not, you'll have a blank slate. When you open yours will be just special for you. I'm the only other person that can see it. And I have plotted out all the days for October. So let's just talk about like how this works. I have done a sample version of this. So in the month of September, I actually did a reading log, truly, using different books and practicing reading for 30 minutes every day so that I could show you a finished version of this. So here's how it goes. First, notice that every week is broken up from Monday to Thursday, and then there's like a chunk for the weekend. At this point, you're probably used to this because we've been doing this since the first week of school. But this is because my expectation is that you are reading every single weeknight, Monday through Thursday, for at least 30 minutes. And then over the weekend, I hope that you read for longer than 30 minutes, but you get to choose when you read. You just have a big block of time and you get to be the decision maker there. So that's how it's broken apart. Now looking at the day to day, you'll see that there's a top row and a bottom row. The top row is for in-class reading. You won't always have a ton of time to read in class. My goal is that you always do. And so far you've almost always had at least a solid chunk of time to open a book and get a little bit invested in it. But not always, that's okay. For any of your in-class reading, I want you to also see how much you're getting done in class and to be able to reflect on that and to take that into account when you're thinking about your life as a reader as a whole. So the first row is for you to log in-class reading. And then the second row is for at-home reading, so your homework reading. And then on this calendar, you can be using different kinds of books. The purple for me is my book club book, and the blue is for my independent reading. I say here that you can choose any colors that you want, as long as you just tell me which ones what colors represent what things. You get the idea, I hope. So you need to pick 3 colors you like, one for your book club book, one for your independent book or books, and then the third one will be for goals. If you ever get a chance to do some goal work, I really want you to tell me. So you'll see that some nights I read for my book club and some nights I read for my independent reading life. And that's the same for you. Some nights you'll be reading to meet up with your book club, and other nights you'll have finished your book club reading and you'll just be reading on your own, in your own independent book. You also sometimes might do both. Like check these out. For instance, you'll see like some of my in class is just like during before the end of the school day. Not really. More like before nighttime for me, like 5 p.m. This is my in-school period. I maybe had time to read a little bit of my book club and a little bit of my independent reading book. Fine. Especially if you're trying to meet that 30-minute minimum, maybe you only have like 5 pages left in your book club book to read. Do you think that that means that you should just stop after that? No way. You want to keep reading. So that's why you have 2 colors, so I can just see what you do when you're on your own. If you finish your book club book stuff, you should be moving right into your independent reading book. You also will have days that you can't write anything down because maybe it's like a writing day. Maybe you were having a spelling bee. Maybe you weren't in school. Things happen. So if you can't fill something out one day because you just simply did not have reading in class, or something happened that night where you weren't able to read either, you can either tell me on your calendar or just leave it, because I usually will know the days that you don't read in class because I plan the day. So hopefully I'll remember. I will. Don't worry. But that's just kind of it in a gist. The other thing that you'll notice is there's a section for goals. Mine's smaller over here and yours is a little bit bigger. I have 2 rows for this too. One will be for your independent reading life and the other one might be for your book club life. For instance, maybe my book club goal is to bring interesting questions to my book club discussions, or is to help our conversation last longer. But then my independent reading goals will be probably more specific to where I am as a reader right now. So let's say I'm reading at a level T, maybe they will be specific to my T work that I've been doing with me, Miss Mead, and on my own. So it's split in half for reasons. Definitely make sure you're paying attention to the example before you kind of worry that you're not doing this right. Just check in on the example and know that it's a calendar, so you can be writing me little notes. Just show you here, and definitely on your own time look through this. Sometimes you'll say like why you read for less, or what happened. Today I was ahead of my club, so I read my independent book. Sometimes you want to like annotate your calendar. So you want to give me a little bit of extra information. With the calendar, you have space to do it. Okay, great. So if you feel like you need to tell me something like, oh, I had 3 tests I had to study for, write that. It's okay, because I'm going to be a fair person, and I'm going to look at this genuinely. I'm going to look at this also in relation to an entire month before I give you a grade. So just keep that in mind. I'm not trying to find reasons to take off points. I'm trying to find reasons to give you points. So just be honest and tell me what's going on. And then you and I together will decide your grade for this. That's the fun part. So you're going to do this as honestly as possible. And then the 2 of us together will pick your grade for the month. This counts for a quiz grade for your reading work. And you'll make a self-assessment, and I will make my own assessment, and then together we'll talk and we'll come up with what your grade should be. That's based off of what you've experienced, what I've noticed, and then what we can be focusing on for the next month. I hope that this helps. Just know that you don't have to turn this in every night or every week. You can be editing this and coming back to the same document over and over again on Google Classroom without even pressing the submit button. So that's very important. Don't even press submit until I tell you to. If you press submit, you might lose editing access, is what I found today for some students. So you can be continuously adding to this. If you want me to look at something, tag me. I might tag you if I notice you haven't done your log. I might tag a parent if I feel like they need to see that you haven't been doing your log, or if you've been doing an amazing job with your log. So just keep that in mind. Like, this is an active document. It's live. It's in process of, it's in the making. So don't worry about submitting it. I will tell you when and how. And in the meantime, just worry about kind of keeping up keeping up with it and focusing on your independent and your book club work. Finally, I'm not asking you to write me any summaries. That's your Google Keep. And your Google Keep also, as you know, is not a summary of your reading. It's like, what were you thinking about? What ideas have you been growing? So that's also one of the big reasons why I want to take the reading log away and give you something different, because I want you to get out of that mindset that you have to like report to me what you read. Because the truth is I've read a lot of the books that you've read, or I know them at least, especially your book club books. I've read all of them. So I'm not looking for you to tell me what the book is about. I'm actually looking for you to tell me what you're thinking about. So that's why this calendar is just separate. It's its own thing. We're just kind of keeping track, looking at ourselves in relation to a month and also eventually as a year. And we're making goals that really reflect where we are at and how things are going and how we're feeling about our reading lives. So hope it's helpful. And as soon as you feel comfortable, get started. Thanks, friends.